Okay, I wanted to finish off a few things. So one of the things I thought of would in these guys, in these actions, have the children and stuff. Just for simplicity's sake, it would probably be a good thing to do this, right? And that way we don't have to fill those out, and we can actually prefab these and just drag and drop them in. If you have something like this in here, then it's just one thing that you don't have to worry about per se. Where in the actions, you'd probably want something a little closer to this for the inputs, so we can access these easier. Just stick those. You don't need to do that, but it's kind of a nice convenient thing, right? Because you could now, because I mean, like I said, like you could technically prefab all those, right? And these become objects where you're like, you know what, we need this one here, we need this one here. And if you had a whole bunch of these, you could literally just drag these in, as long as you had this object here, or that action here, right? Like the patrol could have it too. Not that we have anything in the patrol right now. I mean, you could even do that in this action here. Or you should be able to. Right? Like if we go, right? If I take that, I guess I could have done it over there. Like those should auto-populate. And it'll just help maintain some possible issues that you could have. Like I said, it's not a needed step, but it is kind of one of those things that might possibly help you, or just to make your life just easier. But I wanted to look into our AI, who is wanting to sleep. He can't find the bed. Oh, because I did something here. And that's because I prefabbed those. So we would need this guy to probably fill a variable, because if he's a prefab, which is fine, it's a better way to do it. Things like this, we should have a bed value here and use a variable. It's a smarter way to do things. Dragging references in is really just a bad habit. So for example, now this is a prefab, so I'll have to open up the prefab. But in this thing, I mean, really, I get the root to be our, well, you can just call it root even. And with all this, we can set FSM game object, and we'll keep it over here compared to here, because your bed could possibly change, right? Based on the distance of your bed. So we're going to want to go to the root and go to, of course I totally forget the name, stats. Not the stats, we're going to the brain, to bed. Right, so stats, bed, and this bed, right? So we're going to get that closest bed, this bed, and we're going to set that in. because we prefabbed it. It's kind of one of those things that we should probably do. Mind you, you can prefab this whole thing too. So now let's just see what we need to fix or add on to or adjust or extend. Is if we bring that down, we look at the brain. He's like, oh man, we need to go sleep. And oh, bed target. Could have sworn it was called bed. Am I crazy? Oh yeah, because he's doing this, right? We don't want that here. If the action's putting the bed into this FSM, we don't need this FSM to go and try to find it to get the bed, and it's silly having two things attacking that problem from two different angles. They're just fighting. Okay, but again, so now this guy's using bed target. But if we look at, oh, even bed's still not there. Alright, so what do we have? Why is it doing that? Why? Bed target. And if we go down in here, this bed is cube. So the root, stats, and bed. And did we spell stats right? And Lord 100. You can tell it's totally late here, eh? Quite tired. Totally went into the wrong FSM. To the brain. To the brain. The other thing is that that's also not the actual one we're looking at, right? Because we're using bed target. We just need the bed. Or change the name of the other one to bed target. And that means we should be using this. Alright. That should be a little better. Cleaning up some silly little code, eh? So there we have. Now he's got the bed. I said now those are prefabs, right? So that which is why we kind of have to do it that way. If you go with that prefab route. So he goes into the bed. Now we can play animations and do stuff, but he's here. Nothing's happening, right? And we want these stats to change, and we want these to go back up once we're in this state, right? And once it's a certain point, he needs to pop out. So I think what I'll do is float add. So we're going to add, we'll just call it sleep add. Every frame per second, and like we can add, I don't know, 5 maybe. Might want to go a fair bit slower. You might want to go a lot faster. Might want to multiply it by time versus, or well, not, I guess not time. But you might want to use a variable in case you need to adjust it with stuff. Maybe it changes based on different beds. Who knows? Alright, so we're going to take this sleep variable and we're going to go into our stats and we're going to take sleep and we're going to add sleep add. That's going to set it. So the thing we kind of need to do is we actually need to get the float in the stats, sleep, and we'll store that into sleep add. I'm going to store that every frame. So we're going to get that value, we're going to add, and we're going to set it all in this, all at the same kind of. Make sure the order is correct. Get, add, set, and you could also add in a clamp here if you don't want to, if you really don't want to go above 100, if there is possible issues. Wouldn't be in the negatives, be 0 at that, the lowest, I imagine. Maybe you might be at something more, who knows, right? But you see now it's climbing. So we need a way to test that so that we can leave this state, right? And we're already getting all the values. So let's, for the sake of argument, put a clamp in, and we're going to put it in before the set but after the add. So sleep add 100 every frame. We're going to flow compare sleep add to 100 every frame, and if it's equal, we're just going to end. Or if it's greater, we'll use end, but we shouldn't be greater because it's a clamp. So if we end, where do we go? Well, we should probably just add back up to our little base tree here. Excuse me. You know, a little tree here, and then it will. This thing will still be running from this check mark, so our utility is going full bore. So that, now he's obviously not going to sleep this time. Now he'll go to patrol. Like I said, now you could have more. You could have hundreds of these things if you really wanted to. But there's a way that now we can sleep, and it'll actually build up our ability. And we could simply adjust how fast that sleep builds up with this add value. And it would literally be that exact same method if it was eating too. You might play different animation or something like that, and maybe you would still run the sight system, but beyond that, it would be this kind of same concept. Alright, I'll speed that up a bit. So he hits 100 and he's happy. He's off to a patrol now. So we should probably find a way to bring these down, right? So let's add an FSM literally just for that. And all we're going to do, I think, is we're just going to do a simple wait. This will be nothing fancy, and for now I'll put it to 1, but I might drop it down just for demonstration purposes. But when we do that, we're going to get FSM float, and we're going to get into our stats, we'll do sleep. We really don't need to do health for this because the health isn't going to change over time, but you would do this in the same state with hunger and whatever else. So we're going to say sleep, and we're going to float subtract. And again, you could, this has every frame per second too, but I'm not going to run that. I think you might be able to get away with it. But if it was running every frame per second, and when you're sleeping it's running every frame per second, because those two are going to actually battle. So now a little iffy there. I would personally just find it better to go something like that. We're gonna subtract 1, and then we're gonna set it back in. And then we're just gonna come back over to our weight. That's it. That's all it's gonna do. So this is literally just gonna be 1 every second. It's gonna subtract 1, right? And this could be every 10 seconds you subtract 1, or every 5 seconds, you know, we subtract 0.5. Completely entirely up to you. Actually, let's go 0.5. So that sleep should drop pretty rapidly. Right, we can see it's dropping down. I'll even speed that up. We'll go point. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. And then just to help counter that, if that's going to be draining that fast, I'm going to up this one to like 20 for now. Again, normally I wouldn't do that, but the purposes of showing you that this is going up and down, just kind of ramping everything up, so you're not waiting 10 minutes to see this number drop, him go to sleep, and then have it fill back up, and then him leave, and it drop again, and so forth. Right, we're going to speed that process up. So he is going there. Sleep is still, of course, dropping. That's something we should probably clamp. And now it's filling. And this still has that drop effect going at the same time. Just keep that in mind. But off he goes, right? And he'll just run around now. So that's working fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just going to go back into the stat drain, take this back up to a second. 1 per second is plenty. Doesn't even need to be that fast. All right, so there's that. So let's mark that off. And mark that off. The other thing I wanted to do real quick was, I don't know about you, but let's get rid of this frickin' cube. Ba-doop. Cube gone. So, what if we a salesman? Perfect. There we go. Can have a salesman sitting here now. The evil salesman. So these guys, and there's numerous ways to do the animator on these things. A lot of people like to use the bools for movement, and for me, I don't like it. I do not like bools on movement. It annoys me. Now, with that said, if I was making maybe a really basic zombie shooter or something, maybe. But normally I would just go with a float. So I'm going to turn off root motion, go into the animator, and create a float. We'll call it speed. And we need a blend tree. And I'm going to call this locomotion. Go into here. The blend tree is based off of speed. I'm just going to go with a 1D. And let's put in, say, 3 of them. Now let's find some movement animations. What do we have? What do we have to use? Hopefully I was going through and I was deleting stuff a little while ago. Hopefully I didn't delete all my animations. That'd suck. You'll notice my version's 2020 now. For a long time there was 18, I think it was. Figured, I better freaking fix that. So anyways, okay, we have three animations. We have idle, at the bottom. We have walk forward, and we'll do a run. Now, where I'm going to stick these values here, though, is going to be based on these speeds. So I know 7, I want to be running. 2.5, that's all walking stuff. Confused. Even 3.5 can be a walk, right? So we know when we're chasing, we're at a speed of 7, and we can go 3. So when he hits 3.5, it's going to have a little bit of a hustly walk happening. All right, so there. Now I'm going to make another FSM, and it's going to be called Animator. And I totally spelled that horribly wrong. I massacred that. Get agent speed, maximum speed, and that, or no, get agent velocity, sorry, not the maximum speed. So we don't want the velocity, we don't want a vector for this. I am dealing with a float. So I just want the magnitude. How much of a vector is it? And I want that every frame. Set animator float. We're going to use a variable. This will be our model. And I'm even going to stick him out here. And parameters will be speed, value meg, every frame. You can put a little bit of a damp time to it if you want it to run a little smoother. So we're going to, that's our model right there. There we go, done. Right now it's, when you have this style setup now, like we're not doing much with the model in this case. Like I'm not even running colliders. The colliders are on the actual AI unit, right? So the model is a little out of place. That's an easy fix because I can literally just drop them down like that. Or, you know, I can even adjust this thing up and down, whatever. But the point is, we have our AI is this thing. All the collisions and stuff are going to be on this root object. If we need rigid bodies, it's all going to be there. The model is literally just a display. It's just for show. It's not going to really have anything on it other than possibly catching animation events. Might throw something like that on there because it's just easy to do. So let's just take a look. Let's just see what happens. See if it's looking all right. There he is. I mean, the animation speed's a little slow for that, the way he's going. So I think we will fix that a bit. The speed is 2. So yeah, let's just adjust this. Let's bring this down to 2. The other thing I want to do is I don't like the way he is this turning. Like if you watch him turn, see how he's got the bit of a slide, and he's still kind of sliding now. I can almost bring that speed down from a 2 to like a 1.8 or something. I'm not going to bother, but you know, I could. But his turning to me looks sloppy, right? Like it's working, but it's kind of sloppy. Come on, turn already, you a-hole. You just turn. Alright, well, you know what? I'm doing it anyways. So all I'm going to do is this angular speed's at 120. I'm going to jack that up to like 900. I'm also going to take the acceleration and take it up to 10. And if you watch, and I only up that angular speed. In some cases, I take this into the thousands, 5,000 sometimes. And it's just because when he's gonna turn, I want that turn to be relatively quick. So I'm not seeing that weird, he's moving this direction as he's slowly spinning this way, that weird slide. Kind of like that, like he's still kind of doing it, right? And it's just an easy way to fix it. It just sharpens everything up. See, it's looking a lot better, I think. And even then, like I said, I could adjust that speed a little more, so he just doesn't. Because his feet are sliding a little, right? So let's see how that looks when he goes into a chase state. Yeah, so he definitely runs. And then it goes back to his walking state. So, like I said, really easy way to do the animation. We're not using bools. We're not going from idle, oh, is walking is true. We're flopping back and forth, doing whatever the hell it is, trying to figure it out in code. It's just a simple get the velocity, set it into the animator, right? And then in my case, I tend to like blend trees. So I've only got one state. Not branching off it. I have no other variables in here right now. It's just a simple blend tree going to idle, walk, run. Super simple, yet covers a lot. I find, anyways. It's an easy thing to do, and it works. Fuck it. All right. So, I see. Now we could add animations into that with triggers and stuff for sleeping, searching. You know, maybe a shocked value, attacking, and so forth. How long has this video been going on? 28 minutes. It's probably almost long enough. I don't probably need to go that much longer. Maybe in the next video we'll bring in the attack animations, maybe footsteps, sounds, maybe some effects for them. We will see. Anyways, for the AI, I also want to do a little more with the world context thing. It's really useful. So in the ways of utility, just keep in mind, if you go this route, you don't have to go this route. This AI system doesn't need the utility. Just keep that in mind too. If you're looking for a little more basic AI, a lot of the system, like you could, pull this out so you just have the one of these things, and take away the string change and literally just run like this set and then this side over here, right? Because this side here is more of the utility thought process of the AI, where this side being the chase, the alert, and that's the alert somewhere in there, the lost, and the search, right? Which is, they're all kind of tied in. But this is more of a responsive action, behaviors. You know, something's happening, they need to react to it. There is no behavior tree built in with. You could add behavior trees like those, that entire utility concept here. You could literally extend that entire thing, and all of these could have their own utility AI, tiers, And all of these could branch off and be all sorts of different things based on, you know, the conditions and stuff like that. Um, keep that in mind. Like I'm using it just to flicker more or less back and forth between these, really, but it it is a system that can be used just about any way you can think of it. It's just a way to have a group of possible things, whether those are actions, um, events, game events. It doesn't even need to be on the on AI. It could be on a system. Uh, Selecting an attack, right? It could be anything. Like if you need a selection, and the selection can change based on various conditions, and you want to kind of measure these conditions and have it so it's not just like, oh, I have a gun, shoot, you know, true or false, bools. You know, it's a little more in depth, well, a lot more in depth than that. But anyways, point is, technically, if you rip the utility out, you have a normal AI here, except for that piece. But normal AI with utility, because this is the utility side, it seamlessly blends in. I said I'm using it for those two things, but those can extend, everything can extend, and those could be on everything. But I'll stop rambling away. But anyways, yeah. So we'll see you in the next video.